Hello, Sharif here. And today is a very strange day because I am feeling very strange. I'm, I, some of you know I have a malady called the vestibular migraine. And if you don't know that, you're about to find out what a vestibular migraine is. Um, you can get a migraine that's not in your head. It disturbs your body, but it disturbs a different part of your body. So if you get a migraine headache, if you get a migraine in your head, you get a headache. I get my migraine in my ears. And so I get very, very dizzy. And I haven't had one of these attacks in a long time. But I woke up this morning and the room was spinning. So, welcome to vestibular migraine. Um, This one isn't bad. If it's bad, I wouldn't be sitting up in front of you right now. That's When it's bad, I have to crawl to the bathroom, which is probably as graphic as I need to get. Um, and so, yeah, so this is mild, but mild is still less pleasant than I would like it to be. Um, what it feels like is I went and got drunk last night, so I've got a hangover, and that's I feel hung over right now. Didn't get drunk last night or any other night in recent memory. Oh, for the last 50 years. So yeah, so this is not pleasant. Um, because of this, I'm not going to attempt a meditation. It would be inauthentic on my part. I mean, I can sit here for 3 minutes with my eyes closed. I could probably say some things that would lead you through a meditation, but that is not um, the practice of authenticity means being true to who you are right here, right now. And being true to who I am right here, right now is I feel like crap and I don't want to meditate. And if I close my eyes that long, the room might start spinning again. So instead of that, what I'd like to do is read something to you from Practicing Wisdom. Um, and I just one of the cool things about the book is that you can open it up almost anywhere, and there's going to be a really neat quote there, and that's exactly what I just did. And I came across this quote by a Mayan shaman named Akta, and he said, "We must create a constant high frequency wave for peace. No one group or religion can accomplish this. We can take all of us working together. I'm sorry, it will take all of us working together. We do not need to alter our spiritual beliefs or practices. On the contrary, we need to strengthen them. To create the world that we want to put in place for our descendants for the next 5,125 years, we need to join hands with our neighbors and honor their beliefs and practices for peace, and together generate a constant frequency for peace." And that frequency, the frequency for peace, the frequency for love, the frequency for a future that works for all living beings is our work. That is the work. And that's what we have been focused on. That's what I've been focused on for the past 30, 40 years or so. Um, um, and it's what I think we can do together that can help us to um, and I don't want to say save the earth. The earth's going to be fine. We're going to destroy our niche on the earth. The Earth may take a few hundreds of years to bring herself back into balance, and the next sentient beings to inhabit our planet will look at all of the garbage we left and say, "Who did these people think they were?" Uh, I'm hoping that it turns out differently. I hope that we human beings have a role to play here, and the question is, what is that role? Excuse me, but I'm going to have to refer to some notes here. Um, yeah, so, one of the things that we've seen is that there have been these people power movements that have toppled governments, that have brought waves of change in various lives, and you can see um, the leaders of our movement, our lineage, at the head of these huge gatherings of human beings. The pictures of um, Martin Luther King on the Washington Mall with 1 million people saying, "I have a dream." The pictures of Václav Havel in Wenceslas Square with 1 million people saying whatever he said in Czech. Um, but something happens and things start reverting back to either the status quo or sometimes even worse than the status quo. So, our challenge is, how do we um, get things to line up so that we are all in the process? We know that we're in the process of this people power revolution, and it stays on track, it stays focused, um, it stays connected. I think the answer is we have to hold to a vision, and the vision has to be big enough. Right now, most of us are not following a vision that is big enough. And most of us, even when we start to see the vision that is big enough, get distracted. And all of these distractions, the distractions of the left, the distractions of the right, all of them allow the status quo to continue. We have to, first of all, learn how to not be distracted, and that's why we do these meditations, and that's why we learn how to keep our focus. Um, I told you the story some live streams ago about the crew that was on Mount St. Helens when it erupted, and the different behaviors of the crew. Some folks saying, "Run for your lives, we're all going to die," and other folks saying, "Let's take an inventory of our equipment, figure out what we need to take down with us, and walk off this mountain." Um, and the I want us to be the cool people, the calm people, the focused people. Um, that means that I have to practice the focus. You don't wait until the volcano starts erupting in order for you to figure out, oh, what's my focus here? It's why I wear my Creating a World That Works for All button every day, or every day I can remember, to remind me And when I see people looking at the button, they are reminding me that I do have a focus. And that focus isn't whatever is on the front page of the New York Times today. So, in in the excuse me, I don't know why um, I have a vestibular migraine in my ear and I'm losing my voice. Um, maybe I'm just falling apart. Who knows? Um, so, in the book, What the Baby Looks Like, one of the middle chapters has to do with these three visions that we have to hold. Now, creating a world that works for all is the uber vision. Okay. That if you can't say that, if you can't get that, if you can't follow that, your job is not to be a butterfly. You have a job, and your job is just to keep maintaining caterpillar until the caterpillar goes away completely. And that husk, that the former chrysalis, is once the butterfly walks out of it, it is completely useless. It has no function at all. It dries up and blows away in the breeze. It returns to dust, and everybody else keeps going. So that may be your job, to be a dried up husk of a former being. Um, I want us to aim higher. In order to aim higher, you've got to be able to hold this notion of creating a world that works for all. Now, I'm looking, so again, some of you have heard this before. Um, I'm, when I first articulated that as a vision, when I first wrote the book, Creating a World That Works for All, I started following how people in the world were using that as a phrase. And not many people, like once every 2 or 3 weeks, one of the Google bots would come back and say, "Oh, somebody said that." And generally, somebody who had been to one of my workshops or trainings or whatever. And then about 10 years ago, I started noticing the references are coming more frequent, like every couple of days. And so now, several times a day, people will put that phrase in their talks. Most people don't think about it. Most people act as though it's a cooler way of saying, "I want the world to be a better place," which incidentally says nothing. Everybody wants the world to be a better place. Adolf Hitler wanted the world to be a better place. So this notion of creating a world that works for all is both doable and measurable. Okay. I want the world to be a better place. You can't measure it. It's amorphous. You want to do that by sweeping your front sidewalk. Okay, you just made the world a better place. Um, you want the world to work for all living beings. You got a different kind of work to do. Okay, so so in the book, I've got three interrelated visions. And all of these are subsets of creating a world that works for all living beings. So, subset number one, vision number one, is we hold life to be sacred. Now, this I'd say the majority of you say, well, yeah, sure. I think life is sacred. Uh, or, I never thought about that, but sure, why not? Life can be sacred. Um, and some of you may have balked on that. Um, and some of the sticking points may be uh, life. Does that include mosquitoes? And unfortunately, yes. All life has a sacred role to play. I want the role for the mosquitoes to play their role out, not around me. Um, uh, but all of us are food for everything, and trying to hold yourself back from being food is very much breaker thinking. This body has been borrowed from the earth and it has to return to the earth. All the food that I eat, and this is true for um, meat eaters, vegetarians, vegans, it doesn't matter. All of it came straight from the earth. And all we're doing is borrowing it. And all of it is returned to the earth and becomes earth again. And that includes this body. Don't get hung up over it. I'm just borrowing it for a while and then I give it back. And then I get it again. I get another one. And I kind of keep doing that. Um, oh, let me say that you don't have to believe in reincarnation or any religious doctrine in order for you to hold life as sacred. If you don't believe in God, that's okay. If you do believe in God, but you think God is a bagel, for those of us who have seen everything everywhere all at once, um, okay. Um, it doesn't matter. Don't focus on the stuff that separates you from people. Focus on the stuff that connects you to people. Um, if you have children, you may hold your children to be sacred. And then the question is, can you hold as sacred all children of any species born at any point in time? Um, so our challenge is, how do we let go of all of the ways that we have figured out how to divide ourselves around the notion of sacredness? Let all of that go and say, however you think of whatever you think of as sacred, that's what we're going to hold ourselves to. Not money, not power, not being entertained, not being drugged, being focused on life and being focused on the sacred. Being focused on the sacred, um, there's some other uh, thoughts along those lines, and I'm reading right now from the book What the Baby Looks Like. We're looking at that all life is sacred. Life is not a commodity. It's not a thing to be bought. It's not a thing to be sold. It's not a thing to be manipulated. That life and spirit and sacred are synonymous. That sacred and religious are not synonymous. You can have a very deep religious practice. You can wear certain robes and pray and bow and sing at certain times, etc. You can do all that stuff and not have sacredness in your heart. Um, And you can do none of that religious stuff and still have a very deep practice of the sacred. Um, that all life is conscious, that life is consciousness. They're synonymous. That we can create human systems that support the sacredness of all life. So rather than creating human systems that tear down the Amazon rainforest, our lungs, the lungs of the earth, we're tearing it down in order to plant soybeans, as though we need more soybeans in the world. So we're tearing down our lungs because we don't see that as sacred. We have to be able to see all of the life inside the Amazon rainforest and then see the rainforest as a whole, as this amazing, beautiful whole, and recognize that it's feeding us and feeding us in ways that are outside of money. Turning the Amazon rainforest into soybeans means turning this beauty into money. Because I make money on the soybeans. I don't make money on this rainforest that just is, that can just be. Um, we have to recognize that the earth is our mother, and she's not for sale. You've heard that before. People will say that with their mouths, but all of their actions are, yeah, it's okay to sell mom and granny and everybody else because I need to make money. Each of us is responsible for, and each of us is responsible to the sacred. No one can speak for God, but each of us has the responsibility to speak as God, as this one very, very small aspect of God out of 8 billion beings with this form and countless other beings with other forms. That we can create a society that's based on life, as opposed to a society based on money. What a concept. Okay, that was the first of our three visions. Vision number two, that we are creating a world for all living beings. That is why we get up in the morning. Okay, and I want to say this. We know that a lot of times, you say something lofty. Yes, I wake up in the morning and my job, my mission, my vision is to create a world that works for all. But really, I have to put my uniform on. I have to go down to the pizza shop and I got to flip pizzas for 8 hours because that's how I make the money to get the food, to get the da, 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 da. Fine. Okay. Um, as long as what you're doing, as long as your pizza flipping is not hurting other beings, hurting yourself, hurting the earth, okay. But while you're flipping that pizza, what are you thinking about? While you are uh, being um, active in the world, what is your focus? How are you focused? Can we focus on while we're doing how do we do this and how do we do that, can we focus on creating a world that works for all living beings? Our third vision is probably our easiest or hardest vision for us to accept. And that is, we human beings have to become colony beings. Um, I think I told, well, in one of my videos, I talked about my dishwashing vision. Um, uh, I hate washing dishes. I don't do it that frequently. um, and when I completely run out of dishes, it's time to wash them. And in order to do that, I put on some kind of a video. You can learn an amazing amount of uh, knowledge from YouTube videos. And I estimate how long it takes for me to wash the dishes. So if it's 30 minutes, I'll put on a 30-minute video or two 15-minute videos or whatever. And this can be on any subject. And I got lots and lots of subjects. Um, that particular day, it was biology. Um, and what I was studying was ants. And there's this video that says something. It's called "The Insane Biology of the Ant Colony." Now you notice that in order to have a YouTube video, the title has to include insane, shocking. They'll never let this go. They're out to get us. You know, the it's all about space aliens, etc. Maybe I should figure out how to put space aliens in the title too. The view inside the space aliens chrysalis. How about that? Um, anyway, so I'm washing dishes. I'm watching this video, and the video says uh, three things. And actually, this came close to shocking. Number one, the ant colony is very old. The ant colony is um, older than dinosaurs. Number two, ants are the most successful beings on the planet if you just go by numbers. They're everywhere. There are 35 pounds of ants for every pound of human on the planet. And that's an awful lot of ants. Um, they're successful in any and every environment. Um, and then number three, ants weren't always colony beings. They started off as solons, as solitary beings, and they learned how to become colony beings. And when they learned that, they then became the most successful beings on the planet. And I stopped washing dishes. There are pads and pencils everywhere that in my space, and I dried my hands and I wrote a note which I've attached to my monitor so I can look at it every day. And what I wrote was, so you can see this: colony humans. What would happen if human beings started acting like an ant colony? What would happen if when human beings? Oh, by the way, I'm coming up on the bottom of the hour. I usually go 30 minutes. I feel like I've been speaking really, really slowly. I'm going to go about 10 minutes past the bottom of the hour. I hope that's okay with those of you who are still hanging with me. If you've got to leave, I understand, and um, you can check out the recording. Okay, back to so these colony beings, once they become colony beings, become super successful on the planet. Now, human beings don't even act like we're the same species. We spend most of our energy in defending ourselves from each other. So take the overbloated military budget of the United States, couple that to the overbloated military budgets of Russia, China, let's just call it the top 10 militaries on the planet. Add to that all of the national, local, regional police forces, etc. We're spending all of our time, all of our money defending ourselves from the people that we say are we're the same species. I think that's pretty insane, and I think we should do something about it. How do we become colony beings? Well, the hardest thing from that, in terms of that perspective, the hardest thing that we have to do is um, dump every single system and every single structure that we've got right now that keeps us away from it. Oh, sure, that's easy. I'll do that. We'll do all that tomorrow, and the next day we'll take the day off. Um, no, this is a major, major undertaking, and we've got to think about this as a major undertaking. Our challenge is we can't even begin that undertaking with the consciousness that we've got right now. We've got to change that consciousness. Now, what I see and what I have foreseen is that we come together and we have a purpose. And the purpose is to change our consciousness. So you take the people who either are watching this right now or will be watching this in the very near future. The It looks like we're trending around 50 viewers on 3 or 4 different platforms. Okay. Um, Considering that the latest video game that just came out had 10 million sales in 3 days, um, we're not scratching the surface. That's okay. When it happens, it'll happen. You know, we can't force the impossible. Impossible will come in its time. So all that we can do is smooth the path so that the impossible can land. That's why I wrote the book. Not that, everybody will grab the book and say, oh, this is the best thing since sliced bread. They may wind up saying that, but they're not going to say it necessarily right now. So our challenge is, can we get together in a coffee house somewhere, in a church hall somewhere? Can we get together and start the process of landing holonic colony thinking? If we get the requisite number of people together, it will start to cohere. We will start to cohere. What's the requisite number of people? No idea. I'm pretty sure it's going to take more than 5 or 10. I'm pretty sure that once you get to 1 million folks focused in the same direction, we're going to be an unstoppable force. What's the number in between? I don't know. We don't have to aim at 8 billion people. First of all, lots and lots of human beings are already focused as colony beings. When we think about the keepers, when we think about the indigenous people, They've been acting like colony beings for the longest time, putting no strain on the earth, putting no strain on their relations with other beings, put no strain on their relations with themselves. Okay, that says an awful lot. To produce no toxic waste, nothing, and everything gets used. Um, the opposite of that is the breaker thinking that's given us industrial agriculture, industrial manufacture, industrial food. That the food that you eat is a toxic substance, and people think that that's a good idea because it makes you money. Can we come together and wait for the holonic consciousness to land? Most of us um, impatient breakers, nah, yeah. We're going to give the holonic consciousness 5 minutes, and that's it. You don't land by then. We're just going to go on with the agenda. I was talking with some Native American leaders some years ago, and I know that they had this big meeting on the West Coast, and I was asking how the meeting go, and they said the meeting went great. We were together for 3 days. The first day, we waited for the spirit to arrive. I'm like, how's that a meeting? Like, what did you do? He says, we danced, we drummed, we sang, we chanted, we sweated, we ate food, but we're just waiting for the spirit to arrive. Took a day for the spirit to arrive. Then, he said, we had to wait for the vision to arrive. So I said, well, what did you do then? He says, well, we danced, we drummed, we sweated, we ate food, we slept, and we just waited for the spirit to the vision to arrive. And then I said, okay, what did you do then? He says, well, once the spirit had arrived, once the vision had arrived, we could take care of all of our work in half a day. So we had a whole day to drum and dance and sweat and eat food and then say goodbye to each other. So it will take hard work for us to land the society of creating a world that works for all. But the hard work isn't we got to get our spreadsheets together, or we got to get our computers together, or it's that we've got to calm down and we've got to start feeding our hearts. We got to start feeding our heads, and we've got to learn how to take the long view, take the view that is not, what do we do right now? Take the view that is not, oh, we have to stop damaging this part of the forest. We have to stop doing it. It's like, take the long view and say, what are we doing here and how do we do it? It looks like the deck is stacked against us. It looks like all the forces that are destroying the earth are so powerful, or so forceful, or so there's nothing we can do. It only seems that way. Once we let that go, once we let go of our processes, of the breaker processes, we see a whole new world laying right in front of us, and that's the world that we should be focusing on. Thanks for putting up with me today. The vestibular migraine generally lets go in a few hours. Nothing I can do to hasten that on. And hopefully on Monday, I'll be ready to be back in rock and roll. I don't, what I should, well, I've been saying I'm going to put several, I'm going to record several of these so that if something comes up, like me being out of town next Friday, so next Fridays will be a recording. Um, right at the same time, though. This software is really good about timing things. And we will then go into what there is to go into then. One last thing, a number of you have been giving me some great ideas about how to change the format of this live stream here. Great ideas in terms of timing, in terms of scheduling, and lots and lots of stuff. So thank you. Keep them coming. And we're gonna have some changes. So thank you for those who have done that already. If you've got some ideas, put them in the various chat boxes or send me an email and we can go from there. Thank you. May all beings be well. May all beings be secure. May all beings be happy. Thank you and see you next time.